You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Crazy Juicy Love podcast. And I'm excited to have Michael Allen. And we have the same last name.
Exactly.
Michael Allen is a relationship and life coach. And he specifically works with men and women, helping them find the ideal match without any resorting to manipulation, which I love, and pickup lines, which I love too. So just quickly, tell me, how did you even get into coaching? Why coaching, and why this particular part of coaching? Because it's a very vital thing that is so critically needed in today's society, where so many people are feeling so lonely and so depressed because the apps have gotten something is shifting in the world.
Yeah.
And just people need a little help, and help goes a long way. So tell me how your journey becoming a coach, first of all.
You know, Jimmy, you asked me to be vulnerable, and I'm going to start out very vulnerable here.
Great.
Throughout my life, whenever I had set my mind to something, I could usually accomplish it, whether it was academics, whether it was athletics, playing an instrument, you name it. If I wanted something bad enough, I could eventually get it. It could take a lot of work, but I could eventually get it. The only one area of my life growing up where that never seemed to work was with the opposite sex, with women. I was always struggling. I was always scratching my head wondering what is going on here? Why is it that, I'm having such bad luck with everything? And I had gone through my teens and 20s feeling, very down, very depressed, not a whole lot of self-worth because of the whole thing. And, when I got out of college, I could have the occasional date now and then, but it wasn't like these other guys who I knew who were getting, 5-6 dates a week. And, I was wondering, what is so wrong with me? Is it just how I look? Is it something else? Is it how I come across? And I struggled with that for a long time. Fortunately, my first real job was a teaching job overseas in China.
Oh, wow.
And I met who would eventually become my first wife over there. And we were married for 7 years. And, for the 7 years, I didn't really think about dating. But then, the relationship, we kind of drifted apart when we got back to the States and we divorced. And all of a sudden, here I was in my mid-30s and I was thrust back out into the dating scene again. But now, not only was I thrust back out into the dating scene, but there were all these newfangled apps that weren't there when I last left dating. And I was just hella confused as to what to do.
Like so many people.
Exactly. And so I had looked on Google again. I had looked for dating coaching or relationship coaching. I knew I didn't want to see like a psychologist or something like that, because all they would do is teach me about my past, but I didn't want to know about my past. I wanted to know about my future. What could I do in the here and now to get to the future that I wanted to get to? And that's the essence of what coaching is. And so I met I was going to go to one of these really big name, high-end dating coach. You probably heard the name. I'm not going to mention it on the podcast, but it's one of the female dating coaches that helps men. Let's say.
Okay. I'll talk afterwards.
I didn't go to her directly. She sent me to one of her assistant coaches, and I met him, and he and I corresponded for close to a year, and we had coached mostly through the internet, mostly through Skype. And he coached me on ways to build up my confidence, ways to build up my self-esteem again, because it had been completely shot after my divorce, and also through a lifetime of just having really lackluster results in terms of dating. So he taught me all about that. He taught me where to go to meet the types of women that I would click with, and eventually he came to the United States, and we did a weekend training where he actually asked me to assist him.
Oh.
And to me, that was like an honor, because he had seen that I had made a lot of progress. He's like, well, how about you help me coach this weekend? And I had the absolute time of my life that weekend coaching. And I knew that at that point that this is what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to help other guys, because I didn't want them to go through the same difficulties that I went through. Nobody should have to go through what I went through. That's my philosophy.
Wow. That's so great. Like, I really love what you're saying, and like just really get into like what this is about. Like, really, because I mean, obviously you help men, like, as a gay man, like I still have, we all, these, even with the straight men that I do coach, it's all of this, the same struggles of really connecting. And I've been, talking with Tavia Sharp with like this, we've been really, finding that connection has been missing, and a lot of people just don't know how to connect anymore. So like, I'm really curious of like, what are some of the common mistakes that particularly men make on like dating apps? There's a lot of things that I see, and I'm just like, wow, like if we had an expert like you, or a coach, or with really great knowledge of dating, how can you make an impact on guys to like really shift of how they're approaching dating?
Well, you mentioned issues and difficulties and mistakes that guys make when doing online dating. So I really class the mistakes. There are two classes of mistakes. Mm-hmm. One of them is individual mistakes. These are things that the individual guy tends to do. And the other class of mistakes is what we call systemic mistakes. And these are faults of the system of online dating. And these are the systemic ones are a lot harder to deal with, because a lot of it is outside of your control. Mm-hmm. Actually, there are ways in which you can handle those.
Okay.
For example, especially with swipe apps like Tinder and Bumble, there's this, have you ever heard of the paradox of choice?
No.
There's actually a psychological study done by a University of Pennsylvania professor, and this was later verified by Harvard Business School. The whole idea of paradox of choice is that you would think that if with so many options available to us on online dating, that it would make things easier, that it would make things better for us, because hey, before apps, we were pretty much limited to just the 20 or 30 people within a 10-mile radius of us who we would see every day. Mm-hmm. And if it didn't work out with those people, then we'd either have to, uplift our entire life and move to a different city to try and find somebody, or we were pretty much out of luck.
Yeah.
But now with online dating, there's so many more choices available to us, and you would think at first blush that this is great, but in actuality, it brings with it a whole new host of problems. And that is, like FOMO, fear of missing out. You could go on to Tinder, or you could go on a Match. It doesn't really matter what site it is. But you could go on and you could meet someone who's like a 90% match to you.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, wow, this person's really great. And then you start dating them. And after 2 or 3 dates, you're like, well, what if there's a 95% match out there that I'm missing?
Yeah.
And I'm letting this slide because I'm with this guy who's or this girl who's only a 90% match. And so they go back on and they keep swiping and they keep interacting with other people. And then they find someone who they think is slightly better. And this really wonderful person who they were with before, they're just like, oh, sorry. I really think we should see other people.
It's like the grass is greener on the other side kind of syndrome.
Exactly. Because these apps, they don't go away just because you meet somebody.
Right.
They're still there, and if you open them up and you keep swiping, you may find somebody. Oh, this person's smile is just 10% better than this person.
I know. Just judge all these little things that are so unnecessary.
Yeah, and I see this with guys and girls. It doesn't really matter the gender. It's just that we see somebody we think we may like better, and then it's like, I know I'm somebody, but this person just seems so much better than me. I'm going to go with this one, right? And I think a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of that and I have been on the receiving end of that too, it really creates a lot of frustration.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, this is supposed to solve all my problems, but why isn't it? Why am I feeling worse than when I didn't have the apps in my life?
Right.
Another systemic problem is, this is mostly true of guys, and girls have kind of the opposite problem. I have had the privilege, or I use the word privilege loosely, of looking at some of my female friends' Tinder feeds, and and I hate to say this about some of my female friends, but like even some of the more average looking ones, they have 50, 60, 70 messages, guys, in their inbox on just a typical day. Right. And then I look at my average looking guy friends, and they're struggling to get like 2 or 3
I know, right,
in their inbox. So it's created this massive shift where, it seems like one gender is completely getting all of the attention, and then the other gender is getting none.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of guys on the internet who's just like, well, I'm doing everything right. I'm, writing a good profile. I'm taking pictures. I'm doing everything that people are asking of me, and I'm still getting like 3 people interested in me a month, and these 3 people are like way below what I would like to have in my life.
Yeah, like there's a profile. I actually even saved this guy's profile. It's a straight guy, and I was really a friend of mine showed it to me because it was like his profile was very well written. Pictures were really great, and then she was like, he's still single, and I was like, why? Like, what he wrote was so open and vulnerable, and I was just like, wow, like this, why is this dude still single when his profile was damn near perfect, and it just like kills me to hear like he's not even getting the response that he deserves because the overwhelming inbox flooding with that women are getting, not even getting recognition.
And when it's like that, when you have a guy who's got really great photos and you have a guy that's got a really great profile, oftentimes it's not necessarily anything that the guy is doing. It's just that he's lost in the flood of like the 100 other guys that are in these girls' message boxes. And this actually brings me to the first personal mistake that a lot of guys make. They're using the same message, and they're just saying, hello, hey, what's up? How you doing? Right? But guess who else is saying those things? The same 100 other guys.
Right.
You are not doing anything to differentiate yourself from those other guys, so you're getting lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Right? So instead of just saying, hey, what's up? How you doing? Why not comment on something in her profile? Show her that you've actually read her profile. This is something that is so important. I'm not even that great looking a guy, but because I have gone into a woman's profile and I have read something, and that something has struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned that in my opening message. That has automatically put me ahead of so many other guys, even guys who are probably better looking than me, who were just saying, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
They noticed that message and they clicked on it and they engaged in conversation with me. And that put things in my favor.
That is so critical, that what you just said. Like, I was just talking with Tavia about this, like really educating dudes, like really finding something that what you said, to the core, that you connect with, and then and have an honest response to what you connect with, and then lead with that, because you're connecting, which is so beautiful. I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah, and I think another thing, Tinder and Bumble especially are very visual apps.
Right.
So sometimes if you've got like 10 people texting you the same thing, one way to break that monotony is to send something visual, like a funny GIF or a funny picture followed by a witty one-liner to kind of introduce yourself. I'll share one that I used to use a lot. It's a picture, it's a GIF, like short movie of a polar bear just jumping out of the water, like jumping out of a pool and saying like, hey there. right? And then underneath, I would, write like a little funny line, like, coffee or ice cream on our first date or something like that. And that visual automatically, like they see that visual in the box, like their eyes are automatically going to go to that.
That's a really good idea.
Right? And that's another thing that you can do to really differentiate yourself from all those other guys who are just saying the same exact thing over.
It keeps you from being generic, like just generic talk. Like, I mean, I really love, you gave me some ideas to try. Wow. What else? Like, what else? Mistakes and things and then what can men do to like differentiate themselves from like the herd, as we say.
I was talking with Tavia. In fact, we did a video about a week and a half ago where we were talking about this very same thing. When you're creating an online dating profile, your job is not to just tell, right? Your job is to show. You have to not just tell a whole list of adjectives about yourself and a couple of pictures. You've got to show the woman what it's like to be on a date with you, what it's like to potentially be in a relationship with you. Right? So you have to be able to show through your pictures and through your bio all the different sides of you. What makes you tick? What makes you you? Don't just list a whole bunch of things saying like, I'm funny, I work hard, I'm nice, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, like a laundry list, right? Show them how you do that. Give some examples, right? For example, in my profile, like when I still had a profile, I have a girlfriend now, so all my profiles are taken down. Otherwise my girlfriend would be very upset. When I still had my profile, I love martial arts. I'm a big, like I could just say, oh, I like martial arts. Or I could do what I did and tell a story of when I was in China, I once had a mock sparring session with a Shaolin monk. Right? So which one is going to get the more attention? The story of me and the monk, or just saying I like martial arts?
The story.
Exactly. Why is that? Because that's showing. It's not just telling, it's showing her what it's like, what my interest is like, and how that manifests itself for me.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be able to show through examples, through stories, through your pictures, right? A lot of guys, they say, okay, Tinder has a 6 photo limit. Let's just get 6 selfies of me sitting on the couch. No. You've got to show different sides of you. Get a nice headshot, get a nice body shot, get a shot with you with friends, get a shot with you in an activity, doing something that you love, whether it's hiking, swimming, mountain climbing, whatever, biking, a picture of you kind of in action doing something. And then get a picture of you with friends, right? Show the woman that you're a social guy who actually, people actually like, and you're not just some kind of creeper, right? If all of the photos are just of you, right? She has no idea what kind of guy you're like and who you hang out with or anything like that, right? Show them that you're social.
Right, and that's really critical, I think, in staying away from like a lot of, because I see a lot of mistakes where guys are drinking a lot in pictures, like stay away from that. And in my experience, I remember on an app, and I was messaging this guy, and I couldn't tell who he was in the picture because he was always in groups of people. And he got offended when I was like, I said, which one are you? No, and because he said, well, I'm not. He was always with his best friend, who was very attractive, and he was attractive too, but his friend had a very great body, very great face, and when he even messaged me, well, I hope you're not messaging me for this person in the picture. Like his insecurity came out so well. So for me, I think it's important to I love the group pictures, and don't overflood your profile with group pictures, because you just want to be focused on you and the activities that you love, because it's just showing a variety of yourself, and that you know how to, I hate to use this word, but sort of sell yourself of like, I love, hiking, I love jogging, these are my best friends, like have things that you love to do, not are you just a random picture, but you want because you'll be able to connect with the picture more because you're in the thing that you love to do.
Right. And that's a really key point, what you just said, things that you love to do. So if you just went bowling one time in your life,
Right.
and put the picture there, like, hey, you know, this is me in action. So she's going to think you love bowling.
Bowling, right.
If you hate it, you probably shouldn't put that picture in
Right.
your life.
Right.
It's got to be something that you love to do.
do.
That you've done many times over.
Right.
So that's another thing. And you mentioned something really important. It's important to show yourself with friends, but as you said, you can't have every single photo of you being with friends. Otherwise, how are they going to know it's you?
Right.
You've got to mix it up. I would say, you know, if you've got a 6-photo limit, 5 photos of you on your own, and then 1 photo of you with friends, just to show that you're a likable guy, right? And then that's it. You've got it covered.
Yeah.
Right?